You're listening to No Early GGs.
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 69 of the No Early GG FPL Draft Podcast. I have returned with my co-host Noah, and we are here and we are about to start the most hectic time, as we were just discussing, in FPL. So we're gonna have to put on our seatbelts for the next couple weeks.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I didn't think you left anywhere, Cam, but I'm glad that you returned. So happy there. Yeah, it's a crazy time. There's going to be little surprises that jump out at you here and there. So hopefully we can help, I guess, make sure those surprises aren't completely surprises. We'll do our best, but I know earlier today we both realized that waivers go through tomorrow,
Yep.
December 7th, right? December 14th
14th.
at 1 p.m.
Yep.
Eastern time.
And I believe if we preview the next week, they're also on Thursday next week. So another thing to keep in mind, just a little bit early, but we'll be back to preview those games too, to give you another reminder then. All right, let's get. Oh, actually, no, they're on Wednesday next week. I stand corrected. There's a game on Thursday, December 21st. So yep, the craziness is already starting.
One less surprise.
Yep. Okay. We can review last game week.
And we'll quickly run through Champions League.
Yep.
In the past 2 days, I unfortunately was not able to watch any of those games, but we'll review relevant players and the outcome of those 4 or 5, I always forget, EPL teams.
4.
4.
All right. I guess we could start off with the saddest one of the bunch. Man U coming in fourth. No more Europe. Might be better for their players, I think.
Yep, it's a good way to twist it. I'm glad you brought them up. I think we're all going to benefit from Man U's early departure from the Champions League. I think that was Ten Hag's plan all along. He wanted to help out the FPL owners. So he
Yeah,
gave us if he gave us anything, it was that.
Yeah, thank you, Ten Hag, for your service. Yeah, not much to say there. I mean, they needed to win. They played all of their supposed best starting lineup, but I think the one thing to note is that Maguire did go off injured, which is crazy that is we're back full circle, that is of note again.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it really changed. That game really changed my opinion on Man U at all.
but it did on Harry Maguire, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's vital.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll start off there. Man U lost to Bayern 1-0, and Rashford has an illness. There's a long list of injuries and players out. I guess I'll just run through it quickly because it's the longest list. So Rashford's out with an illness. So is Martial. Don't have any more info on that. As Cam mentioned, Harry Maguire went off with an injury. Casemiro is still injured. Eriksen is injured. Lindelof has a knock. And yeah, the rest everyone is already aware of. Those were the newer ones for me.
Yeah, I think that's
And also, sorry, Bruno is suspended until
the game after Liverpool, I believe.
yeah.
So we can talk about that matchup. That's actually the last matchup of the weekend in the Premier
Okay.
League.
All right.
Next up, Arsenal.
Mhm.
Arsenal and Man City really played like nothing games. I think they were already both guaranteed first.
Yep.
So a lot of rotation there. Like El Neni started for Arsenal, Cedric started. I don't think anything really new came out of these games, but
Nope. And Ketia scored, which is always good. But Ramsdale also started.
nice.
Interesting to note. Yeah. But probably won't happen. Havertz also played. Havertz started. Trossard started, Gabriel and Saliba started, and Jorginho started. So that could have implications for the weekend, but I don't think it will much.
Yeah.
Trossard kind of hit or miss, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll probably
But
see
yeah,
their normal lineup.
yeah, with Raya in the back. But
Yep.
to each their own. They tied PSV 1-1. And then those were the two EPL teams played yesterday, Tuesday. And then earlier today, as Cam mentioned, City played. Bob scored, which I thought was great. They won against Cervenia Sveda.
Red. Oh, I'm pretty sure that's also Red Star Belgrade.
Red Star. I was about to say, yeah, I did not recognize them. But yeah, nothing too crazy there. John Stone started, Grealish started, Akanji started, Rico Lewis did, and Calvin Phillips scored a penalty.
Yeah, that tells you all you need to know. They were going to rotate, and they're always going to rotate. But they gave Micah Hamilton a start, and he scored in 11 minutes or something like
Yeah.
that. 19
Oh.
minutes.
All right. And then the last team
This is the
who,
one I'm actually excited in quotes about Newcastle being out.
yeah.
Give my
Are you
give
excited?
give my Botman some time to come back.
Yes, very true. Newcastle could use a little break as well. They are riddled with injuries, but yeah, and they needed to win, which they didn't. They lost to Milan 2-1. Pulisic scored.
Yep.
Cool to see. Then Joelinton scored for Newcastle. Newcastle looked like they started with their strongest lineup. Wilson started instead of Isak. Then they had Almiron and Gordon up top. Joelinton, Bruno, G, and this new dude. I want to call him Miley, but I think it's Millie.
No, it's Miley. You got it right.
Miley.
You got to go with your gut
All right.
sometimes. I've
Yeah.
seen your gut.
For me,
Sometimes it's not right.
most of the time, it's definitely not. But they're starting in the middle, then Lascelles, Scar, Livermento, and Trippier, and start in the back. So that could have some sort of implication for the weekend. Isak will definitely be starting, which I'm happy about.
Yeah. Oh,
But I think
Dan
we both
Burn.
saw the same thing. Yep. Dan
Yep,
Burn
that's the
subbed in.
thing. That's the most important thing. Wilson
Yeah.
and Burn. I almost combined Shar and Burn. Um, Wilson and Burn being back are the most notable things for me from this game. I think Newcastle are getting their players back.
Yep. And keep an eye out for Barnes too. He
Yeah,
will be coming back soon. Not quite yet, but yeah. So
completely forgot he was on their team.
I should not have mentioned it, but it's all right. I think we have a few more weeks. So yeah, that'll be interesting where Dan Burn slots in. He'll probably come in as a sub, I'd think, for the next few game weeks. But then, yeah, I'm gonna guess Livermento might be at or Lascelles. I don't know.
Yeah.
Time will tell. That's everything from the Champions League. Yeah.
Yep. All right. We can review how our teams did in the last game week. It was game week 16. Um, would you like to go first or me?
I'll get mine out of the way. So yeah, my squad not doing too great at the moment, and which is kind of ironic because I was just telling Cam that I don't even think I'm going to make any transactions this waiver period because my team, I like the way they look. They have good matchups, but for some reason they just can't perform. So yeah, my back line, Lascelles, Gabriel, Shaw, Stones, averaged about 1 point. Gabriel scored two. And yeah, nothing crazy there. My team pretty much didn't do anything besides Bernardo and Joelinton. So yeah, now I'm not going to go through anymore. It was kind of a sad week for us over here, but we're going to come back strong.
All right.
I lost, if that's what you're waiting for.
Yeah. So it was kind of a roller coaster of a game week for me. My opponent had a bunch of players on Sunday, including Richarlison and Kulusevski. So I was very worried about the Spurs Newcastle game. Um, and I also had Udogi playing. I did score pretty highly because of Salah and Adingra, as well as Pickford, who is now my MVP apparently. Um, now that Pope is out, he's had to sub in twice, and he has three clean. Everton have three clean sheets in a row, and
Yeah.
Pickford has 24 points in that period. So I have I have in my notes when we preview Everton's game against Burnley this week that it would be very Everton to not keep a clean sheet in this one. And honestly, I'm kind of betting on it, to be quite honest. I feel like Burnley will score after they kept a clean sheet against Newcastle and Chelsea, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, those three and Udogi combined for a pretty good amount of points, so I ended with 51.
Yeah, wow. Cam's opponent scored 46.
Yep.
So that was a good matchup.
Yep. No early GGs there, unlike some of our listeners. Looking at you, Dean.
You're gonna be so mad about that one.
Just kidding. All right. So let's get into our normal previews for this week. And then in the coming episodes, we'll have to preview multiple game weeks, I think, with all of the games that are happening. So the first game on Friday is Forest versus Spurs. We saw Spurs beat Newcastle 4-1, which was a pretty crazy result, but honestly very deserved. Son looked pretty unplayable against Trippier, who is actually now banned for the next week, but that's more of Newcastle news. Um, Spurs have some good fixtures: Forest, Everton, Brighton, but I think probably most of their players are picked up, and we see like Romero and other players coming back from injury. My main question to you: we talked about Lo Celso last week, and he didn't start this one. There was a lot of rotation, which we'll be talking about across all teams. But are you worried about him with no start last game? And are you worried about Brennan Johnson now that Richarlison is back and he's scoring?
I'm glad you asked because I'm definitely not worried about either of them. But that's because, yeah, they're not on my team. That's actually the only reason. I know that you're kind of trying to convince me about Lo Celso last week, and I'm glad it didn't work because I didn't pick him up and I don't plan to. Yeah, I mean, especially with him not starting, that kind of yeah, gives to my point where I'm just not going to risk it. Like I said, I like my midfielders, so
Mm-hmm.
don't think I'm going to risk it on, center mid like that. Even though, I mean, Spurs have been so consistent, or maybe it's just the Spurs center mids, more defensive center mids that have always just had an opportunity to score and have actually been scoring. Like Højbjerg last season was one of the top scoring midfielders,
Yep.
and then Sar the first, I guess, 10 game weeks, he had a bunch of points as well, and then Lo Celso is doing it too. So even though I don't love him, you know, keep keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then what else did you ask me about?
Your
Brennan
favorite.
Johnson,
Yeah, your favorite player.
the assist merchant. Mm,
It's a revenge game. He's playing
yeah.
Forest.
And he was outright bought though, so he's allowed to play.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. I have a feeling Brennan Johnson's going to start, but he will be taken out by Richarlison. I don't think Richarlison has earned it yet, even though he had a massive performance last week. I just think for this upcoming game week, it'll still be Brennan Johnson.
Yeah. That was more of a question for like when they get everybody back, like when Madison's back. Um, I think we'll see some changes, but we're not quite sure what those are. On the Forest side, um, I think we're probably aligned on maybe not playing Forest defenders.
Those players.
So I don't know if it was due to rotation. We saw Matt Turner start again. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know that their keeper situation is a little bit weird. I think we'll have to wait for news about potentially who's starting this game. But They started with no real FPL forward last week. Do you trust any forwards from their team? I know you've had Wood at a certain point. You've had Origi. Are you kind of staying away now?
I guess as far away as I can. I mean, I still have Chris Wood because um there's no one else. I don't know if you guys have heard that before, but there's no other forward, so I'm holding on to him unless someone wants to drop Holland because, he'll be out for a
Yeah.
few months.
Mm.
Just hoping someone listens to that.
That's yeah.
No. Um, yeah, I don't love that, but I'm also not too worried about it because, they didn't really Forest didn't really do anything anyways.
Yeah.
And they scored. It was 1-1, but yeah, I mean, Gibbs White started at striker, so I'm not really going to complain.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You benefit from that as well. All right. We can
I didn't, but yeah, I should.
you should. All right. Next up, we have Bournemouth versus Luton. So both these teams are in pretty good form. I know Luton hasn't won their last two, but they played City and Arsenal very closely. And then Bournemouth, we just saw beat United 3-0 at Old Trafford, which was a nuts game to watch. Bournemouth have Luton, Forest, and then Fulham, which I wrote that down before I remembered that Fulham have 10 goals in their last two games,
Yeah,
which sounds
Fulham.
crazy to say. Um, so I guess my main question, Solanke, obviously, uh, auto automatic start in this one. Um, Tavernier, would you
Yeah,
start him?
I would. He's okay. So Tavernier, I think, we've been pretty spot on about him. When he plays, he goes off,
Yeah.
and it's almost a guarantee. He had 2 assists last week, which was unbelievable. For some reason, I feel like he just won't play next game for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
But he's, I believe, at the top of our waiver list, which is crazy that finally a player that I think is actually worth it is there.
Yep.
So I'm sure everyone will go after him. I would. Bournemouth is in unbelievable form, beat one of the top teams pretty handedly. So it says a lot about them. We don't need to comment on that. But yeah, I'm excited about Bournemouth. So yeah, Tavernier, Billing scored. I mean, all these guys are players to take a look at. But why don't
Yeah.
you tell me if you have any of those dark horse guys?
Yeah, I mean, Tavernier is number one for me, and he's probably the highest scoring available player on their team because Solanke's taken. My question is, do you trust? I guess this is two sides of the same question. So, Bournemouth defenders, is there anyone? Would you start them against Luton? They've just kept a clean sheet against United away. Luton were able to score against Arsenal and City. Um, So do you see Luton scoring in this game?
I could see Bournemouth keeping a clean sheet. I don't think it's the craziest thing. I feel like when teams that are on the same level play, it's usually a tighter game. So, and Luton has been in good form, you're right, but I could see Bournemouth keeping a clean sheet against them. I think they're just going to come out super hot.
Yeah, we see some regression in Luton. The other question is Carlton Morris, no starts in the last two. Right now I'm justifying it by they rested him in the Arsenal game and then they did so well that they started the same lineup, but I'm a little worried. He's not the number one player to have on Luton anymore if that's a thing, because I think would avoid their players otherwise.
Yeah, I I don't know. I'm looking at the Luton free agents, which are pretty much everybody.
Yep.
No one really excites me, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you do much with Carlton Morris at this point. I think anyone you swap in would just be a downgrade, even if he's not playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. I think that's enough from that game. I think I guess one more thing, like Bournemouth defenders, I know I touched on them. I feel like if I was like last minute scrambling, I'd be like, oh, Luton. I feel like I would pick up Senesi.
Yeah.
He's the highest scoring defender that we have in our 12-man league that's available.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I was gonna say if you have an expendable defender, you don't want to start him or you don't even want to keep him. I wouldn't not go for a Bournemouth defender.
Yeah.
Maybe I
Okay.
will.
What?
Maybe I will.
All right. Next game is Chelsea versus Sheffield United. So Chelsea, we saw them lose 2-0 to Everton, which was just great. Great Sunday. Moving on. Chelsea's fixtures are Sheffield, I believe it's West Ham, or Wolves, I mean, and then Crystal Palace. So theoretically good fixtures, but they just lost to Everton 2-0, so I don't know if I can confidently say that. They are playing Sheffield United at home, which you would back them to win, I guess. Reece James is out for 3 months, I believe. That is the news that came out today. So with that news, I forget if you have any Chelsea defenders, but do they excite you at all, or Chelsea players in general, with those fixtures that I just named?
Defenders, no, they don't. And I haven't even honestly batted an eye at Chelsea defenders this entire season, and I'm still not going to. Um, I think, yeah, now I'm looking at their run of fixtures. Looks pretty good, but Wolves I can see scoring on them. Luton I can see scoring. Fulham I can see scoring on them. So nah, I'm gonna stay away from the Chelsea defenders, and I don't have any. No.
That's all of note. Would you play any Sheffield United defense players in this one?
You know I don't know any of their names.
So no.
No, but it is interesting if we're gonna move along or move away from the defenders. I don't know what. Oh God, I don't know what the lineup was last week, but your boy Nicholas Jackson didn't start. Sterling didn't start.
Yeah.
Did did Pochettino think it was going to be an easy ride against Everton?
I mean, we just haven't been that great with that lineup anyway, so they rotated. Honestly, I think Palmer did end up starting.
Yeah, Palmer
Honestly,
did.
them losing was probably good for me FPL wise because Jackson didn't start and they still didn't win. So I don't know. We'll still. I feel like we discussed their lineup with Nkunku back last week, so I feel like that's still like the biggest factor in how I feel about my Chelsea assets going forward. But I do think Palmer's probably the number one player to have other than Nkunku when he comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I think Palmer will hold on to that number one even when Nkunku's back. He's got to prove himself. But do you have any update on the injury?
The Nkunku injury? No,
Yeah.
I don't. I think that he's still practicing and he's still let's see. Still orange flag, 25% chance. I feel like we won't see him until January.
Yeah, it's probably safe to say. But yeah, I guess I mean Broja started up top, so maybe I think he's actually available too, but wouldn't recommend anyone picking him up just yet. Feels like that's a trap.
Yeah, the only player I would probably recommend is Gusto if you have an extra spot to hold because
Well,
Reece
he's
James,
injured too.
yeah, only 50% chance lack of match fitness, so maybe we'll see him. I
A
don't know how
a
much he's been running.
tendon injury.
Yeah.
That's not good. Mm-mm.
All
Yep,
right.
that's
Yeah. So next we have City versus Palace. City actually don't have a game in the next game week, so that's something to keep an eye on. They were supposed to play Brentford, but it's postponed. This game is against Crystal Palace. I mean, Haaland rested was probably the biggest news. I think he's okay, so he'll probably play in this game against Palace. Um, do you start any Palace players in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I would start Olise.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Yep.
End of list. What a list.
Uh,
Eze, if he were healthy, yes,
yep.
but Elise is probably the only one here. And then for City, I feel like every week you can just take a look at their European lineup and flip a coin about whether your player is going to play or not. So, uh,
Well, I mean, all right, maybe Edward, I could start because we've mentioned and everyone's seen City's been having kind of a tough time keeping clean sheets. So yeah, he's the only one. And IU's on a red, so
nope.
don't even bother, Cam.
Yep. Oh, he is available. Wow, maybe I'll pick him up. All right. Next up, we have Newcastle versus Fulham. I'm very excited for this
Ooh,
game, actually.
yeah.
Um, I will go through quickly both these teams' next three fixtures because they are good. It will be tough to predict their lineups with the short weeks, though, in the coming weeks. Newcastle have Fulham, Luton, and then Forest. And then Fulham have Newcastle, Burnley, and Bournemouth. So Fulham, as we talked about, 10 goals in their last two games, which is crazy. Trippier is suspended for this one after his poor performance. Are you still trusting the Newcastle defense with all these outages?
Yeah, I am, and I don't know why they haven't looked good recently, but I'm gonna trust them, especially with them being booted from Champions League. I think they'll turn it around. I still trust them. They have a huge roster, so yeah, I'm gonna trust them. I'm holding on to Lascelles. So yeah, I guess we could expect Dan Burn or Lewis Hall to start this next game.
Yep.
But would you even bother picking them up against Fulham?
Um, I don't know. I do know Botman's almost back as well. So I feel like we're about to get some wrenches thrown in our Newcastle plan, although them being out of Europe will probably help. Um, I would probably lean Lewis Hall, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I would too. But we'll see.
Yeah. And then on the Fulham side, I know we ranked their assets last week. Um, I'm forgetting what our order was. Do you want to rank them more seriously now
Yeah.
that they have 10 goals in the last two games? So what was your ranking again?
I don't remember, but I can do it fresh. I think Fulham deserve, extended time for us to talk about them. They've earned it.
Yep.
So I'm going with William number one,
Okay.
Jimenez number two.
Okay.
Mm,
Getting to your I thought Awobi was going to be up there for you. He's not
yeah,
next.
I'm kind of in between Iwobi and Pereira.
Yep.
Pereira's still on certain set pieces.
Yep.
So I'm gonna put him above Iwobi. I still think Iwobi's uh, great, and he's been playing great. He did get subbed out. Let me double check. Okay,
Harry
sorry.
Wilson scored 45 minutes. He played 45 minutes and scored a goal and had an assist against West Ham. I think he's their fifth best option.
But then what about Kearney?
I don't no, I don't I'm not no,
I'm
I'm
like,
not feeling
yeah.
Kearney at all.
All right, I think we're probably in agreement up until then. So I think I like Kearney a lot.
Uh how many starts does Kearney have recently?
And okay, sorry, Wobie just got subbed out because they were crushing, so wouldn't be
Yeah.
worried there. Kearney played
I guess he has
29 minutes the past
yeah.
3 out of the 4 games. Then against Liverpool, he only played 29, but he's wearing that number 10, so you got to trust him.
I think he had the number 10 last season.
All right, and that was his come up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
He's-
pretty sure he's like 33.
No, he's a young 32.
Is he actually 32?
Yeah, look, I was about to say the exact same thing. When I saw his age, I was like, oh my, I honestly thought he was literally like 20.
Nope.
That is crazy. Yep. So he's 32. Turns 33 in January.
Wow. Oh, I was almost spot on with that. Yeah, the only reason I'm not saying yes to Kearney, I would have to look at their past lineups, but Paulinho's too good to drop. I know he's not an FPL asset, but Paulinho's there. And then you've got Harrison Reed's always playing too, although I feel like his position might have been taken now at this point. So I don't know. I feel like I would give Kearney maybe this Newcastle game, not pick him up for this one, but then Burnley and Bournemouth, if he's still starting, I think he would be an interesting player to go for. But are you ranking him above any of those other players we just mentioned? Like, what about Bobby D. Cordova Reed? Nope.
No, because I think he's a great player, but he's been subbing in.
Yeah.
I don't think he started really. In the past, I mean, he's been one of the only Fulham assets that we ever keep an eye on. And he has
Yeah.
2 goals. Well, no, he has 1 goal he subbed in against Liverpool. Then he scored for Jamaica. Sorry. So that was a little different.
All right. So just to rehash your list, you said Willian, Jimenez, Andreas Iwobi, Kearney.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like that's a good list. That was a good list.
And Vinicius scored. He's
All right.
back.
We're I don't
That's
know what back means. How many points? Vinicius has 20 points on the season. 2 goals.
Yeah. Yep. I think he subbed in for 19 or what, 17 games, then he scored. So
Nice. All
uh,
right. Enough Fulham talk. We can't hype them up too much. It's only been what, 3 games in a row that they've won? Whatever. Next
well,
game.
all right, fine.
What do you have to say about Fulham now?
I was gonna say, is it worth picking up their defenders right now? Or wait until they play Newcastle, till after they play Newcastle?
Um, I mean, yeah, they did both. Not we only mentioned the amount of goals that they scored, but they kept clean sheets in both those games as well. So maybe. I
Yeah,
mean,
keep an eye out.
yeah, keep an eye. I mean, I feel like they've been rotating their defenders a little bit. Ream hasn't been starting, which
Mm.
is crazy. Bassey's been playing. Tosin's been playing.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
a let's wait and see against Newcastle. If they do it again against Newcastle, I think it's
they're the real
automatic.
deal. Yeah.
All right, now we can move on.
All right, I've gotten your approval. Okay.
Mhm.
Burnley, Everton. I kind of This is the other best team in the league, Everton. They just beat Newcastle 3-0 and then Chelsea 2-0. They do have terrible fixtures after this though. I didn't write them down, but let me go see. Yeah, Burnley, Spurs, and then City. So if you're picking up Everton defenders, it's for 1 game week. But like we said before, it would be very typical Everton to concede against Burnley as well now. Because I feel like Newcastle and Chelsea kind of play into their hands where they want to like sit back and hit you on the counter. So how do you feel about Everton in this game?
I feel good about them in this game, but I think I'm with you. This is probably the time they concede. I just think it's been too good to be true. And of course, it's going to be against a team you least suspect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Decore, he's what killed me, last week. I was playing against him. He's a great asset. Calvert-Lewin just looks the same, so not great, but Beto scored.
Yep.
I don't know what you want to do there, but I don't think I have interest in either of them. But again, if either of them are available, I would probably pick them up instead of Chris Wood. But I'm sure a lot of you all don't have that same issue as us.
Yeah. I do want to point out. So I feel like we ranked Ducore like a couple weeks ago. He scored twice since then. He's by far and away their best asset to me.
Yeah.
Um, I will note Branthwaite is out for this Burnley game, and I feel like he's actually more important than we realize. So if he's not playing, I think we see Michael Keane, which will be
Wow.
very interesting.
That's from the past.
Yep, or Ben Godfrey. I'm not 100% sure
Oh
which.
boy. Well, then yeah, I'm definitely betting on Burnley to score.
Yeah, and also Ghana suspended until the next game as well. So honestly, I feel like everything we just said, they're definitely conceding against Burnley,
Yeah.
and then they'll
Yep.
keep clean sheets against Spurs and City. Let's lock it
Yeah.
in now. I do think though, jokes aside, Mikolenko attacking wise is probably fine to go with.
Hmm.
He has, I'm pretty sure, 2 goals. Maybe he has 2 goals and an assist. So I think him getting forward is enough to justify starting him against Burnley. And I think they, as a whole, like with the Burn. Okay, so would you rather have a Bournemouth defender or an Everton defender this week?
I'm going with a Bournemouth defender
Okay.
based on
Yeah.
everything we said. And yeah, I think it's more likely Bournemouth keep a clean sheet. And also Jay Rodriguez is coming back hot, and he's going to be the one to score against Everton.
All right. Seems a little biased, but I'll go with it.
Oh, I do have him too. That's right. Can only hope.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. They're Bournemouth's playing at home, Burnley is away, or Everton is away, so I feel like that's also contributing when you're missing key players. All right. Let's move on. We have West Ham versus Wolves. So, West Ham have some pretty bad fixtures. Also didn't write those down, but I won't rehash them. Uh, I think this is one of the more toss-up games to me this week, and I'm asking you as a friend, if you had a defender on each side in this game, who do you think is more likely to keep a clean sheet?
Oh man. Yeah, that's kind of tough. Based on what I'm looking at, I I wanted to initially say Wolves will keep the clean sheet, but no, I'm gonna go with if anyone has the edge, it's West Ham. And
Even after the 5-0 against Fulham?
I think they'll come back. They have to show something.
Yeah.
And Wolves, I don't know. I don't completely trust Wolves. I mean, they've been playing pretty decent, so there's not really any basis behind that. They did lose to Fulham a few weeks ago, lost to Arsenal. They beat Burnley, tied Forest, so I feel like they're evening out a little.
Hmm.
And West Ham, what really gets me is I think about the players on West Ham,
Yeah.
and I'm like, if I have to give it to, either team, I could see Kudus, Ward-Prowse, Bowen, he's back, Paqueta, Souček, any of them I could see scoring.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like Wolves, first of all, West Ham are at home. Wolves will be playing at West Ham. Um, they I don't know. I feel like West Ham have better players. For some reason, Wolves keep scoring, but I feel like it's just Hwang and Cunha just pulling these goals out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
it, it- exactly that. Like Hwang, yeah, I mean, there's a chance he could score, but I guess there's a chance he couldn't too.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think those are the only two players I'm starting from Wolves in this game. It's
Yeah,
yeah. And both of these teams, the fixtures I was talking about, both these teams have terrible fixtures coming up. West Ham have United and Arsenal after this, and then Wolves have Chelsea, then Brentford. And they have Everton, but then they have Brighton, Man U, Chelsea again, Brentford again, Spurs. So I feel like Wolves defenders we might not be seeing get picked up for a while going forward.
yep. And I'll report back to let everyone know if Cam drops tomato or not, or if this is all just a ploy.
Yep. Well. Actually, does my opponent have any Wolves related
Hmm.
players? Is the main question.
I've also been trying to use that strategy a little bit because I'll give you credit, Cam. You're in first place, so you must be doing something right. But I can tell you that that strategy, aligning defenders with your opponent has not worked for me.
Oh,
So I don't know.
who are the we're going off track here, but who are the recent pickups that you did to align?
Um, well, I didn't really pick up anyone, but I've noticed that I was playing with, similar defenders, and I'm like, all right, I'll put them in. But I think I played a Man U defender last week, so I had Shaw in there. Didn't help me. And I didn't double down on Man U, which was a good thing. I
Yep.
left Onana on my bench. Didn't help me win, but I made the right keeper choice. Flecken had 3 points.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, just, hasn't been working for me, but maybe I'll give it one more shot.
All right. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay. Next up, we have Brentford versus Aston Villa. So we saw Villa beat Arsenal 1-0. Pretty tense game. And then Brentford, they lost to Sheffield United 1-0 without Embuemo. So I feel like Brentford are always an odd team to keep track of. I feel like the easy route is to back Villa. They do play Sheffield United next to, which is a great next fixture. I feel like the big news is Diaby and Cash haven't been starting. So
I
what
think
what's going on?
it's a game management thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Matty Cash, I think it was some strategic something going on there. So maybe Emery has just wanted to be, I guess, a little bit more defensive focused, and Cash gets up a lot. So maybe that was the reasoning behind not starting him. I'm convincing myself that.
Hmm.
And Diaby, yeah, I feel like Diaby's got to be back in the lineup soon. I don't understand why he hasn't. He's always produced, and they haven't been doing well the past few games. So Diaby's going to be back. I would have zero worry there. And if you are a Diaby owner and you are worried, let me know. Maybe we can make something happen.
That was a nice pitch. So Brentford don't have a game in the next game week, as I said, because they were supposed to play City. There's also, of note, no Digne or Douglas Luiz because they are suspended for this game. So I feel like we'll have to see some lineup changes. The Douglas Luiz uh, absence in particular, I feel like is a little worrisome for Villa. I feel like Alex Moreno just comes straight in for Digne, and then they'll probably battle it out for the left back spot all season, and we'll never know who's going to start. But do you trust any Brentford players in this game with Embuemo still red flagged?
So let me just backtrack for 1 second. I don't know why I said Villa's been struggling. They've actually probably been, in their best form yet. They beat City and Arsenal the past 2 weeks. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I was just,
I didn't even catch
talking.
that.
Yeah, I was talking cash off the ledge. And then last thing I'll say is Leon Bailey is looking great.
Yeah,
I watched that game and he looked unbelievable. So I'm keeping an eye on him if he's available. Don't think he is in our league, but
nope.
I think him and Diaby are worth keeping an eye on. I think they'll both be starting and playing. Now to Brentford. They don't look good. Losing Embuemo hurt them a lot. I think it
Yeah,
was, maybe just like chemistry thing, something like that. But he was the heart there, and now they are not looking good. I, yeah, I would not be worried about Villa's defense in this one. I'm not worried about Brentford scoring really at all. And Lisa hasn't been doing much. And now they have Mape in there.
yeah,
So
it's a detriment.
have fun with that one.
Yeah. All right. I think we can move on. The last two games are real good. So, first one, we have Arsenal Brighton. I'm expecting a lot of goals in this one,
hmm
but I feel like I would still start Arsenal defenders if I had them, unless I had, I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
I don't
Who would I
know.
rather have? I feel like I
I
would start Arsenal defenders.
Yeah, so I'm in a dilemma right now. I either have Matty Cash or Gabrielle. And as of right now, I have Gabrielle in there, but I'm leaning towards swapping them. It's a risk on both sides. I mean, Brighton, I agree, could score a lot, and Gabrielle just played yesterday. Matty Cash hasn't played, so hopefully they change that around. I'm actually just going to make that swap right now. But yeah, I think they're going to be goals both sides. I would stay away from the defenders if you have that
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, so I actually want to do this really quickly. You can just give me a yes or no. So I feel like there are a lot of very even matchups this week, which makes it very tough to pick defenders. Like last week we had City versus Luton, obviously didn't end up keeping a clean sheet, but the right mindset would be to start them. So in comparison to Arsenal defenders against Brighton, because we know Brighton defenders are a wash every week now, would you rather have an Arsenal defender or a Spurs defender or a Forest defender in that game?
Spurs, Forest, or Arsenal?
Yeah.
Spurs.
So
It's
you would
easy.
rather have a Spurs versus Forest defender than an Arsenal versus Brighton?
Yeah,
I think that's
definitely.
right. I think that's right. What about Bournemouth versus Luton?
Mm, I'm going Spurs still.
Oh, we're not. We're taking Spurs out of it. So
Okay,
it's
okay.
now
I'm
Arsenal
going
versus
Bournemouth.
Bournemouth. Yeah.
Bournemouth, yeah. Oh God, but I wouldn't drop. Yeah, I wouldn't drop any players for Bournemouth. I wouldn't drop my Arsenal defenders.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. It's just if they're in your starting lineup. We're talking
Yeah.
about starting only.
Yep. I'm going Bournemouth this week.
All right. What about Chelsea versus Sheffield United? Or the reverse, but I feel like I threw that one out the window.
Hmm. I think
He's
yeah, same as Bournemouth. I'd go Chelsea.
oh nice. Nice. All right. City versus Palace, I think you would agree. City defender.
Yeah.
What about Newcastle versus Fulham?
Oh,
I feel like Fulham
I,
defenders are out the window, but Newcastle,
I
that's a
don't know.
consideration.
I'm going with Arsenal.
Okay.
That's when I'll take Arsenal. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like the Newcastle injuries do justify that. What about Everton versus Burnley instead of an Arsenal defender?
Hmm. No, I'm gonna go with Arsenal.
Okay. What about a West Ham defender or a Wolves defender? We're
All
going
right.
through everyone. I'm very interested to
No, I
hear.
like it. Arsenal.
Arsenal? Yeah, I think I agree with that as well. I don't trust either of those teams. That game
Yeah.
screams 1-1 to me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I
If there's
don't
ever a
trust either.
1-1 game, it's West Ham versus Wolves. Okay. What about an Aston Villa defender against Brentford? No Douglas Luiz, no Digne.
Yeah. I'm going Villa.
Okay. And then last one, I guess it's Liverpool versus a United defender at Anfield.
Ooh.
I
Mm,
still go Arsenal. Arsenal kept
yeah.
a clean sheet against City. I feel like I always think about that.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'll
All
go with
right.
Arsenal. Yeah.
Well,
So it's about 50-50. That's interesting.
yeah, right. And Arsenal are like, I mean, I don't think they're in. Who's in first? Liverpool are in first, but I mean, Arsenal obviously one of the best teams in the league. But Brighton makes you think about it. I feel like,
Yeah. No, they do. I mean, Brighton scores and they can't keep a clean sheet, but I feel like they always score. I'll double check that. Let's see how long their streak has been.
yeah, who has kept a clean sheet against Brighton? That is a great question. So, nope,
Um,
nope. They've scored and conceded in every game this year.
that's that's crazy.
That's unreal.
Yeah, that's insane. All right. Good for Brighton.
Uh,
Maybe. I mean, good for young.
average for Brighton.
Yeah, for entertainment purposes, if you want to watch a game and you want to see a goal, you turn on the Brighton game.
Yeah, wow, that's good, interesting news. I feel like we always see rotation with them. Again, I'm sitting over here with three Brighton players. I've been starting them every week. I feel like I have to do it again.
It's been working.
It's been working, but this is probably the toughest, most I've had to think about starting them yet.
Oh, I'm
Um,
so sorry for you there.
if defensive waivers go my way, I might bench one, but then I'm a little scared of that one being the one that scores that week
All right.
because they always score.
This is ridiculous.
What?
You have three Brighton players. I have three Newcastle players. Newcastle and Brighton are the exact same place on the table, but Newcastle's actually in seventh, Brighton's in eighth. They're
Yep.
tied on points. And I'm not even close to the top. What the heck?
Who are your Newcastle players again?
Isak, Joelinton, and Lascelles. I mean, they're like good players.
Yeah.
They play and they score. Like all of them score. Lascelles scored 2 weeks ago. That's ridiculous. I don't know what you're doing, Cam, but it's not fair.
I'll tell you what it is. It's the fact that I have Salah on my team.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'll chalk it up to. All right, last game. We have Liverpool versus Man U. I think the big news, no Bruno,
No Rashford,
no
probably.
no Rashford probably.
I don't know. It's fine. You know what? Liverpool, they're gonna win, and Ten Hag's gonna be out, so it's for the best. Like, it's fine.
Is that it for this game? What about McTominay? You start him?
Yeah, I'm starting McTominay.
Hoyland?
Mm, yeah, I'd start Hoyland because it looks like Martial won't be playing. I mean, it's a flip of a coin with them, but Hoyland definitely takes the edge. I don't know why Martial's even been in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about our best friend Garnacho?
Yeah, I'd start him too.
I feel like I have to give you comparisons. Would you who would you rather start out of McTominay and Garnacho?
McTominay.
Okay, yeah, just due to my dislike of Garnacho, but it's whatever. And then on the Liverpool end, I feel like it's always kind of a guess who starts, but I feel like it'll be Nunez, Salah, and then why am I blanking on who plays on the left for them?
Luis Diaz.
Luis Diaz. Yep.
You're just, yeah, you had him all last season. I mean,
Yeah.
you replace him with someone a little bit better, you completely forget about him, neglect him, huh?
Well, he was injured for most of that season, so
Yeah, it's fair. But yeah, Diaz has been starting up there. I don't think he's scored in a while though.
nope, he has not,
Scored in
sadly.
Europa, so yeah, it doesn't really count. Scored against Luton a few weeks ago, but yeah, I don't know, not super excited. I'm more excited about Soboslai.
Yeah, I feel like is he their second best midfield option after Salah,
Wow.
or is it Jota when he's back?
I think Jota when he's back, but as
Yeah,
of right now, yeah.
it's Szoboszlai. Yeah, he is their third highest scorer after Trent and Salah.
Yeah, Trent's back too. Good for
Yeah.
him.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to cover in this episode, Noah?
Nope. Think we're all good there.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the No Early GG's FPL Draft Podcast. Thanks everybody for listening.
So don't have a historical EPL game ready for you all this week. I just want to explain to everyone how great I did and not conceding early this past weekend. I was down 20 points going into Sunday, and I had all three of my Newcastle players. Didn't concede once. And yeah, it still doesn't feel that great to lose, but at least I did it with dignity. So please, everybody, no early GGs.
You're listening to No Early GGs.